as the report points out at the end of page 23, it's a low-lying landscape, and therefore visual impact will appear to be greater. And certainly the figures we were given of the equivalent of 4 playing fields and buildings up to 22 metres high. If you want to know what 22 metres high looks like, imagine 4 double-deck buses stacked on each other, and you get some idea of what 22 metres looks like. So I think there is a problem with the impact. On the other hand, I have to say that I did drive around the area yesterday morning, in fact, and I think maybe we shouldn't over-exaggerate the impact, but there will be a visual impact. So I have mixed feelings about that argument.
Size, appearance, visibility, these are, of course, very subjective and personal judgments frequently. But what is clear here that this will most likely be the largest set of structures on the site. Although when taken against alongside other buildings already approved, yet to be developed, there will tend to be a continuum of some fairly large buildings. I think, as we heard earlier, ranging from 14 metres up to the maximum here of 22 metres. So there will be a continual set of buildings along there. In terms of the overall design, well, the applicant has clearly done their very best to break up the different elements of this entire installation into smaller chunks, and I think they've done that very well. The end result is still a large set of buildings. Having said that, long-term planting, as we saw from the montage at the beginning of Mr. Wyatt's introduction this morning, will significantly restrict the visual appearance of the building, in fact the visibility of the building from the road network. And the location at the northeast corner minimises visibility in general. As we saw from the montage this morning, even during winter foliage, as you drive around, there was only one section where the building is absolutely clear. Most other areas there is a degree of obstruction in front of the buildings. So overall, I believe that the building as presented to us is acceptable in visual terms, particularly when taking into account the planting and bunding intentions.
Is it too simplistic to say that the planting can be of a more mature nature to try to lessen this 15 years?
The answer is yes. I suspect what they would try and do is they would try and take some specimens at a larger size, because the issue often comes back whenever I speak to landscapers is given the planting established, particularly we've got it on buns and the like as well, so I think it'll be an assortment of an approach. Some will go in small to get them established well, others I've no doubt at all that we can achieve something larger scale from the outset.
Again, on the theme of minimising the 15-year wait for some visual screening, any consideration of adding some bunding actually along the perimeter of the site near the roads, so that as you drive along, next to you would be more of a bunded landscape on the boundary there, rather than wait to see the bunding at the building itself come into effect as a technique. Maybe that's being considered and discarded. I'd just like to ask.
I'll look across to my colleague Mr. White's case has been considered previously. I don't believe it has been. I think it's one of those things that you would balance up in that I think the report sets out. Bunding itself is not a huge feature of the strategic gap, although it is used around the wastewater treatment works on Newgate Lane. So it could be an approach. There is scope to do that bunding around the edges of the perimeter by the Pilgrim roundabout, if that was inappropriate.
Are you asking for that in condition or part of the conditions? Or?
No, I guess that's a matter that's reserved, or this piece would be part of what is matters reserved. So it's an idea that perhaps could be taken into account during the future work.
Yeah, Chairman, I can take on board. I mean, I think this is ultimately an issue that's potentially going to be involved at the end when members decide whether or not the scheme is acceptable and you take a decision on it as to whether or not it's included as a condition if members do conclude that the scheme is acceptable.
Thank you, Chair. Just a sort of comment on that, because I understand where Councillor Butt's coming from, because clearly, as you drive along or walk along, if you're adjacent to even fairly low-level bunding or planting, the angle of view changes dramatically. I think there's a balance that needs to be done here between hiding the building as much as we can over a period of time and having open space that can still be seen. And the bunding would not only obscure the building, it would also obscure the open space. So I think there needs to be some judgment expressed there.
Don't forget that this is an outline application with all matters reserved, and therefore we're not sure of the final shape and the height of the building. They put in what they anticipated to be. The height of the building and the shape of the building would depend on the equipment which is intended to house. When we know that, that's the opportunity that we should take to determine how best to screen the building as best as possible or to mask its effect, bearing in mind the substantial vegetation, trees, very large mature trees behind the building anyway, which in themselves will soften its effect. It's not in a large open space surrounded by nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I just remind members is that a number of years ago we had a similar situation with the Air Traffic Control Centre where people were actually saying it will be seen, and I use the same word that's been used earlier on, it's a carbuncle on the horizon when you're driving along there. And as a committee we took the decision to go ahead with it, and the tree planting and what have you which went along with it as well, and it is now totally and utterly hidden. You wouldn't see it at all unless you went into the site. In this particular instance here, I think it is a very similar situation in that the building is a large building. Yes, it will be seen, even with the tree planting and over a number of years. I think in this case it still will be seen, but not, I don't think, to the extent that in some people's minds it will be. So I think it will, with vegetation that will be planted around it, actually hide an awful lot of it.